Well, good evening and welcome to Conversations with Dr. Els. Tonight is a special Monday edition. We didn't have our regular Sunday live, but I didn't want to just move into this new week without, you know, having a conversation. Over the past 2 weeks, we have been talking some quite enlightening and interesting things, and I don't want to just let this week go by without doing so. So here we are, and wherever you are, I want to encourage you to just share this live, let someone know we have a special edition of Conversations with Dr. Els. And so I am looking forward to see you guys here tonight. All right. So I'm looking forward to see you guys. Looking forward to seeing you. And as you jump on, just remember to share this live. All right. So I want to just share a couple of things with you that we could talk about this week. For the past 2 weeks, we have been talking about financial abuse in marriage. And what we did, we defined it, then we examine 7 warning signs of financial abuse in marriage. And guys, I tell you, I've listened to the comments. Your input were really great, and I'm looking forward to have your continued input. All right. Tonight, I want to talk about just go beyond the numbers. And so I want to talk about what financial control does to your mind. All right. So it's not just your pocket. I want to talk about the hidden emotional costs of financial abuse. And whether you're watching this now or you're watching it later, I want to encourage you to share it with someone, because, like someone said to me on our first live when we were dealing with financial abuse, I've heard about sexual abuse, I've heard about physical abuse, I've heard about all these other abuse, but I've never heard about financial abuse. And so I am bringing this to light this evening. And well, over the past 2 weeks, and I want to just continue, but I'm looking at it from the standpoint of uh, the mental issues that you face with financial control. So we want to look at the hidden emotional cost of financial abuse. All right. Financial control does not only affect what a person can buy, it can affect how they think, it can affect how they make decisions, how they see themselves, how how safe they feel in the relationship, and whether they trust their even whether they trust their own judgment. So this is really educational and faith informed conversation I want us to have. All right, it's not understanding, it is not a diagnosis, and it is not an invitation to label every financial agreement as abuse. Okay, I want you to understand that, right? Because you have to dig deeper to understand in your individual situation what it may be, right? So if you are in immediate danger of any financial abuse, of any abuse, I want you to do what is right and contact the emergency service wherever you are. You will know what that is. But I want to pause this evening and just say hi to Maria. Good evening to you, and great having you locked on as usual to Conversations with Dr. Els. I want to encourage you to share this conversation with someone who may need the kind of language to understand, or who may need they're experiencing something and they're not sure what it is. Share this with them. All right, they've been telling you about some issues they have, and you want to help them to understand. All right, and remember also to place the comments in the chat. Let's have a conversation. All right, or questions, you can answer, you can share your views. So let me ask you this: can a person be financially provided for and still feel emotionally unsafe in the relationship? Let me ask it again. Here's the question: can a person be financially provided for and still feel emotionally unsafe in the relationship? The person they're getting money, they're taken care of and such like that, but they feel unsafe in the relationship. I want you to answer me. Do you think that can happen? Again, can a person be financially provided for and still feel emotionally unsafe in the relationship? And while I'm waiting on your answer, I want to just look at a couple of things. Now, when people hear the words financial abuse, they often think only about money being withheld. They think of accounts being hidden, or a spouse preventing the other spouse from working. They think of these things, and those are serious behaviors. But I want you to understand this, that it impact not just that. The impact doesn't just stay there. Money is connected to choice. All right? Money is connected to choice. It affects transportation, it affects food, it affects housing. We talked about those things, healthcare, communication, and education. It affects all these aspects of a person's life. And so when a person repeatedly controls access to those choices, the other person can begin to organize their whole life around avoiding punishment. In other words, when they realize that, hey, if I do this thing, if I disagree with my spouse, they would withhold money. They now begin to organize their life around avoiding punishment, so they will not disagree. Even if they know that it is wrong, they will not disagree. They would want to agree because they don't want the punishment of not having finance. And they may ask themselves, will this purchase cause an argument? They start thinking about that. Will I be accused of being irresponsible? They go to the grocery and they're wondering before they even pick up anything, will my card work today? Will I have to explain every dollar that I spend? Will money be taken away from me because I disagree with my spouse or my partner? Or things like, will I be embarrassed in front of the children or in front of my friends? Will I lose access to the car, or will I lose access to medication? See, that is why the emotional cost can become so heavy. All right. So I want you to understand it. It's not just the financial aspect of it, it is the emotional aspect. And the emotional cost can become very, very heavy. The person is not just managing a budget. What they're doing, they are managing fear. All right. So that's what happened. And the first truth I want you to hold on to tonight is this: when money is used to control your choices, the damage does not stay in your bank account. All right? Let me say that again. When money is used to control your choices, the damage does not stay in your bank account. It goes beyond that. Remember, guys, share this conversation. There's somebody who needs to hear this. All right? No, one common emotional effect of financial abuse is constant alertness. What do I mean by that? The person learns to scan the mood of the controlling spouse. Before they raise any question, they're wondering how would this person take it, and what is the mood. They tend to rehearse in their mind simple requests, right? If they want to buy a dress, if they want to buy to do their nails, if they want to I mean just go and get something to eat. They have to ask for it. They have to rehearse this over and over and over in their mind. So just so that the person um will not get angry. And this is a challenge. So they become alert. They rehearse these things in their mind. They may not wait for the sorry, they may wait for the what they call the right time to ask for grocery money. They have to wait for a certain time to ask for transportation, or for school supplies, or for household need. There is something happening in the household. They have to take care of it, but they have to wait for what they call the right time. Because why? A normal conversation becomes a risk assessment. That, my friends, that is financial abuse. That is working on the emotion. And this can look like, overthinking, but the person may be responding to a pattern because it is something that is happening over and over and over again. And if questions have repeatedly led to things like insults and threats and punishment, or withdrawal of money, or the mind start to learn to anticipate danger. And you may see the person checking receipts repeatedly. You may see them apologizing before they even ask a question. I'm sorry I'm sorry to bother you. Things like that. But I'm sorry to come at this time. But so they start apologizing before they ask a question, or they feel anxious. When the phone ring, there's an anxiety, because after they spend the money and the phone ring, they're wondering, did my spouse see? Did my partner see? Are they going to quarrel? Are they going to take away things from me? And let me be clear. Let me be clear. I'm not saying that in the relationship you have to be secretive, right? Because that is not always healthy. But sometimes people hide ordinary purchases because they've learned that even reasonable spending will be used as an opportunity to humiliate them. And so fear changes behavior. It can make a capable adult appear indecisive. It can make an honest person become secretive. It can make a confident person begin asking permission for every and anything. And these are signs, these are things that you look for when you're looking at financial abuse. So, because the question is not only what did the person spend, the deeper question may be what have they learned, or what have they learned will happen when they spend, or when they exercise ordinary judgment. So you got to understand that, right? Another emotional effect of financial abuse is shame. boy, this is something that a lot of people deal with. Financial control is often accompanied by repeated messages. Things like, you're bad with money, you cannot be trusted, uh, you would have nothing to without me, or you are nothing without me. You do not understand how the real world works. Anybody ever heard about these statements? These are some of the things that goes on. These are some of the things that are being said. You should be grateful that I provide for you, or no one else will put up with this. No one else will put up with you. And so a person may have made financial mistakes. Most of us do. But you see, accountability addresses a behavior. What shame does is that shame attacks the identity, and that is the difference. All right? So you shame the person, you make the person feel smaller than they are, and they feel that they're nobody, they're not good. All right? Accountability says this decision harmed us, so we need to plan to rebuild trust. But shame says you are the problem. And therefore, you deserve no voice in this. You deserve no say. All right. And when those messages are repeated, they can become an internal voice. The person can internalize them, and that's how they live. So even when the controlling spouse is not present, a person may hear the criticism in their mind. You're not good enough. You're nothing without me. And they may stop applying for things like jobs because they believe that they're not capable. They may avoid learning about finances because they believe that they're not capable and they feel embarrassed. They may hesitate to speak with a bank or a counselor or a pastor or even a friend that they trust. They would hesitate to talk about because why? They feel judged because that controlling spouse has already played on their mind, and they may say, I'm not good at these things. You know, when the truth is that they have never been allowed to practice or learn or participate, but they're saying, I'm not good at this thing. Hear me, guys. Healthy partnership develops capacity. Control, on the other hand, preserve dependence. So when you have a controlling partner, they want you to always be dependent on them. And so you got to understand this. Now, let's talk about paralysis, because a third emotional effect is decision paralysis. In other words, decision making is a skill, and like any skill, it grows through practice, it grows through feedback, it grows through responsibility. And when one spouse makes every decision and punishes disagreement, the other spouse may gradually stop making choices. You see, at first, what happened? They may stop making financial choices, and then they may stop making other choices. So, where should we go? What should we buy? Which appointment should I make? What do I think about this issue? What do I want? And so the answer becomes really, I do not know. You decide. So now they stop making decisions, they stop making choices. They're so dependent now on the other person. So they're like, okay, everything you decide. Even from the outside, someone may say, why are they so dependent? But dependence may have been trained, because if every independent decision that has been made were criticized, were reversed or punished, or surrender can begin to feel safer than thinking. So it's just like, you know what, you just do everything. You make the decisions. And the person will need time to rebuild confidence. They will need time to learn practical skills and to discover that mistake does not make them worthless, right? That is a way of rebuilding. But the other spouse, the controlling spouse, do not allow them to do that. And so what happened is that they may even isolate themselves. We're talking about the emotional effect. Financial control can limit transportation. We talk about that. Phone access, we're not paying that bill, work opportunities, and even social activities and contact with supportive people. A person may decline like invitation because they cannot explain why they have no money. And they may stop visiting like family because they don't have transportation. They avoid things like probably church events because, hey, this happened with Christians too. So they may avoid church events or professional gatherings or friendship because why? They don't have the money and they require permission to get things or to go places. That is challenging and that isolates the person, right? So isolation protects the controlling pattern. When a person has fewer relationships, when they have fewer people who can offer perspective or practical help or even a reminder of who they were before the control became normal, sometimes the person is physically present in a community but they are emotionally isolated. And that is the heavy weight of financial control. Yeah, they may smile, they may serve, they may work, they may be in church and they may worship, but they don't tell anyone what is happening in the home because they may fear that people would not believe them because oftentimes the controlling spouse it looks generous and oftentimes what they do, they give to other people, right, and not their own. They may look responsible. They may be a respected public figure. But public provision does not cancel the private control. And so these are some of the things that I want to just share with you. Let me just share a fifth one with you. Uh, Emotional numbness or exhaustion. That's an effect of financial control. Because a person may reach the point where they no longer argue, they give up, I'm exhausted. And that does not always mean the conflict is resolved. Understand that. It may mean they have concluded that speaking changes nothing. And they may say, it is easier to let them decide. They may stop asking questions, stop expressing needs. They may become irritable with the children, with their friends, with co-workers. Because why? They're carrying that tension. They do not feel safe expressing at home. All right. And this is what I've been talking about. This is why I developed that drip-free marriage system. Because as you see these little things, if they're not if you don't deal with them, if they're not dealt with, then it explode. And this is what I'm talking about. You see what I'm talking about? The signs, and this is where the person now come to the place where they give up and they say, I've been dealing with this for long and I can't do this anymore. So they give up. They don't argue. They don't disagree. Let me put it that way. All right. And they may feel angry with themselves for staying, angry with the spouse for controlling, and ashamed of the anger itself. And let me say, some people become emotionally flat. Others become emotionally reactive, so they will react, but others become emotionally flat. And both of those things are signs that the mind has been carrying too much for too long. That's why you have to deal with the leaks when you notice them. And so This is one of the reasons we must not look at one reaction in isolation. We have to look at the pattern. All right. We have to look at what is surrounding these things, because financial control really can shape the emotional climate, not just of the other partner, but of the home, of the children. Everything become hard in the home. And so you have to watch that. It is not just the physical abuse, right? Because the mother may tell the children, well, your father is not giving us any money. And then the children will begin to get angry and hate the spouse, or whatever. They may feel responsible for protecting the parent that is being controlled. And so you got to understand, you have to understand a lot of these things, right, happens. So let me give you a few safe steps. If someone recognize themselves in this conversation, if you know someone as I'm talking and you see these things, the first step does not have to be a dramatic confrontation. Don't try to confront like that. All right. In fact, if there's intimidation, retaliation, stalking, or threats or physical danger, confronting the controlling person without support may increase that risk. So, here's what you may be able to do. Begin to name the pattern privately. Write down what has been happening, what information is hidden, what access is restricted. Begin to jot them down. Journal. What happens when you ask a question? What threats or punishment occur? What necessity have been denied? So begin to write those down. Another thing you could do is identify a trustworthy person or some qualified source of support. Someone, a counselor, an advocate, maybe an attorney, a pastor, financial professional, a relationship strategist. You can get to the drip free system, and you can sign up and you can get help there. All right. So you understand those are things that you can do. You can also begin to rebuild practical knowledge safely. Begin to learn something. Learn the basics of household finances, and when it is safe to do so, go online, go to YouTube, learn something. No accounts, no bills, no assets. No, learn things like insurance policies and the documents that exist in this area. All right. And then rebuild self trust. Ask yourself, what is one choice I can make today that is safe, responsible, and mine? Not somebody else. It may be making a phone call. It may be writing down a question, or learning one financial term, or something like that. Scheduling an appointment. Speaking honestly with a trusted person. These small choices can help to restore, uh, it really can help to restore your mindset. All right. This is important. Your mind safety. All right. And so you have to renew your mind. This is, we're talking about the emotional struggles. It's the mind may be repeating things like, I can't handle life on my own, or I always make bad decisions, I have no right to ask questions. You could keep doing that in your mind. I'm safer when I disappear. All right. Or you would say, well, my needs create problems. Your mind starts thinking about that. All right. And so you have to be careful. And so you have to begin to renew your mind. For example, old thought might be, I cannot make good decisions. But you could balance that with a new thought. My confidence has been weakened, but Decision making is a skill I can rebuild with information. All right. Or you may say, asking question makes me ungrateful. You might be thinking that. A more balanced thought would be appropriate questions are part of responsible partnership. So this is what you have to do. You begin to speak to yourself, renewing your mind, removing those old thoughts and replacing them with balanced thought. And when you do that, it is going to help you to restore the person who you are. So marriage should not really reduce one person to a dependent child, or elevate another person into an unquestionable ruler. Don't make that happen to you. All right. And if you know someone, they need help, and you need to be able to see that. So as we walk through this week, I want to leave 5 statements with you. 1, financial control affects more than money. 2, repeated control can weaken self-trust, decision making, connection, and emotional safety. 3, accountability addresses behavior, shame attacks identity. 4, the first step may be private clarity and safe support, not immediate confrontation. And 5, what has been weakened can be rebuilt. So, hey, this week, as we explore these things, fear, shame, decision paralysis, isolation, and the safe 4 steps that you can make, I want you to really do some financial checking and see how it helps. All right. And if this conversation has been of help to you, please remember, share it, save the replay, and let someone know how they can be helped with financial abuse. So, guys, this has been a special Monday edition of Conversations with Dr. Els. And remember, whatever you do this week, add value to someone's life. Remember, you can still share this. Even if you watch this after, you can still share it. And it's really been great having you guys locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. And I shall see you next Sunday, God's willing. And have a great evening.